I'm doing it every day. After 10 minutes, after 5 minutes. If I quit that, I feel like headache very badly.
I was feeling very bad about myself, that what am I doing to myself?
I feel like hell. I feel like hell. My mind will not work.
I started smoking when I was at a youth club.
Lost from the start.
I was 8 years old.
6.
But I'll fight till the end. Ignite the spark.
I'm not able to quit.
Stitch up the ends.
It has bound me to smoking.
Light up the dark.
It's hard to continue to try.
Fight till the end.
There are health issues, but they can be controlled. A friend of mine once told me that if in case you're smoking like 5 cigarettes a day, drink 1 glass of pineapple juice.
It's having a lot of water and then puking it out. So I purify my body every day. That's why I think I haven't faced any problem.
I used to smoke a hard cigarette, then now I'm smoking a light cigarette.
You should do running every day, so it will not affect your lungs at all.
It's not actually the cigarette that gives you what they say, the disease.
No consistency between the two medical institutions. One place is really proud of you and acknowledges that, vaping is healthier, and the other place treated it just like it was still tobacco. There's just a lot of confusion.
What we've found globally is that you can see very clearly a very high lack of knowledge that needs to be addressed.
One of the challenges that you have is a population that is not informed. This is what the nicotine does. It's a stimulant, it excites you. What are the side effects? We don't even know that, even as doctors. And part of the problem is where the scientific community thinks the general population is too dumb, and instead of giving them the information, they give them instructions of what to do, what not to do.
And we still do this in public health. We exaggerate the harms or the risks or the effects because we're trying to get people to change their behaviour. But I've learned that's not the right way to do it. We need to stick to the truth, and we need to give people true and accurate information.
Whether it's Diet Pepsi, an e-cigarette, a combustible cigarette, a piece of meat, let us get into the habit of people being informed about what they put into their bodies and how their body interacts with it. So we now need to deal with it, dismantle it, and talk about raw data, scientific information, and evidence.
If you're going to encourage somebody to either go onto a nicotine replacement therapy, a medicated solution, or to a wide range of harm reduction options, they clearly are going to have to feel comfortable that their risk is going to really come down and not just leave them at the same state they would be if they were smoking. They know how dangerous it is generally, but they don't know what are the best solutions. Putting those in their hands would actually be a big step forward.
I know about the risks. Just a few years ago in South Africa, they started putting it on the cigarette packs. When you buy your packet of cigarettes, it's in front of you, but yeah, we just don't stop, we just go on smoking.
While the focus, probably rightly initially, was on the higher level policy interventions that government can take and that have mass-based impact, there wasn't much consideration given to cessation and virtually none to harm reduction.
The ideal life is nobody eats too much, nobody drives a dangerous car, nobody drinks, and nobody smokes. But that's not going to happen because there's always going to be people who would love smoking, who would love drinking, and who would love eating.
Never tried quitting it. I've heard of my friends that tried quitting, went on programs. 6 months later, they're just back on the cigarettes again.
And if we cannot eliminate the drinking, eating, and smoking, then the realistic alternative is to look for measures to reduce the risk of those habits.
If I'm alone in the house cleaning, I will look, where's my cigarette? That's my It's my companion, it's a friend of mine. Yeah. And if I don't have, I will do anything to go get one. Or ask the neighbor for one or go buy me one.
I don't think there was a day went by when I didn't miss smoking for some reason, and it wasn't the nicotine. A lot of people think, well, it's because you're addicted and all that sort of thing, but it wasn't. It was all the other things around it. You know, the fact that it was a social thing, the fact that all my friends were still smoking, and I kind of missed the whole thing about it. It was something that I enjoyed, and I think for every day that I was given up, it felt like a loss.
In many parts of the world, high associations with coffee or the first meal or drinking or socializing or being with friends, those things give context to what we're doing. I think the assumption that we often make that there's going to be one solution that can be determined by, let's say, WHO sitting in Geneva and saying what is best for the world is simply not going to work.
We can't go in, especially if you come from a different culture, go in and tell them what to do. We must develop their capacity for them to apply their worldview to the problem in an ecological way, to understand all of the influences, and then they will then tell us what they would do. How would they fix it? That's what's fascinating. That's what we need to find out.
A lot of it has to do with what has culturally been acceptable over years, what's been on the market, what have people grown up with, what do they know the most about. And you've got a long history of how people have associated with certain products.
In order to be worshipping your God, you must do what gods do. Many of them did use tobacco or related forms, smoking.
The whole world of tobacco control needs to actually start taking a more segmented approach to what we're trying to do, moving towards what matters for them as an individual. And where do they get their identity from? And the more we start doing that, we're going to start finding that the simple one-size-fits-all notion, applying it not just to one country, but to all countries, needs to be broken down quite dramatically if we want to make progress.
Ignite the spark, stitch up the ends, light up the dark. Fight till the end.
I thought even I will not get addicted, but it becomes an addiction at the end of the day.
I don't want to smoke. If I had another substitute of smoking it, I would not smoke.
And once you've found those tools, and they may not be the same as everyone else's, but look for a tool that works for you, and basically continue to try. Never give up.
Fight till the end.